Hello everyone, welcome to the round 13 special lockout Q&A. Hope you're all having a great evening, keen for some footy this weekend and State of Origin next week, of course. Hope you're all doing very well. Great to see lots of people in the chat already. Wanted to do the stream because we didn't really have time on Tuesday to go through specific Q&A, so hopefully we can give you probably the next 45-50 minutes to cover off hopefully your burning questions ahead of the round 13 lockout. Hello to Connor, What Will You Do, Jonty, Blake, Aaron, Mr. Nessianwara, Brods, Tyler, Moz, as always, Mark Lawless. Really appreciate all of you being here this evening. Give the stream a like throughout if you're enjoying it. As always, as I always say, helps me on the YouTube algorithm. I'll quickly give you a run through of my trades and then we'll get to your questions. I'm pretty settled on my 4 moves. I am using a boost this week, my second last boost. So I'll have one more available, which I'm probably going to be using eventually to get back Nico Hines. So spoiler alert, I'm selling Hines. So 3 of the 4 moves are the exact same as what I did or what I mentioned on Tuesday. So I'm selling Grant for Cook. I'm selling Tom Gilbert for Tohu Harris. I'm selling Hines for Cody Walker, using Zay Katoa as the way to switch it. And I'm selling Val Holmes. What I mentioned on Tuesday was I was going Val Holmes to Hopgood. So I'm not going Jermaine Hopgood, I'm going Jermaine Asako. So you can see down there I've got Asako in. The main reason I'm going Asako is I already own 6 players from the Knights, the Sea Eagles and the Eels. If I get 7 in Hopgood, getting the 7th, that means next week them 7 plus Dury will be out, Schuster will be out. Those 7 plus Jack Howth is enough. That's 8 players out. That means I'm already on 17, which is the absolute minimum that I need to have available to play a full squad, and that is assuming that Fafita and Cleary back up. It could just leave me in an awkward position. At least Asako plays next week, so that's the reason why I've decided just over the next couple of weeks I think Asako will be a better trade for me in this week instead of Hopgood. I do think Hopgood is going to outperform him this week. I think Hopgood is safe for like 70 minutes plus, safe for 75-80 points, and he's got a ceiling as well. But the thing with Asako, just before, there's a couple of questions actually about they can't bring themselves to bring in Asako. Look, I'm all aboard the Asako bandwagon this week. I'm going to read something out from Random Stats Guy. Tonight is Jermaine Asako's 100th game, milestone game. We know players love their milestone games. He scored in his last 2 games versus the Dragons, and the Dragons have leaked 56% of their tries to right side attacks. And I was just on a Twitter space with Supercoach Guns, who does a lot of good number crunching. The Dragons have conceded 97 points on average to right side wingers. I don't know what the span of time that is, but look, it looks like it's all well set up for Asako to hopefully do well this tonight. And also just a bit of a home thing for me. Being able to VC Asako means I can captain Dylan Brown. That puts a big smile on my face. I want to enjoy this game because you guys know my rank's pretty terrible. So I'm happy if I can go with a C Dylan Brown. Supercoach Experiences in the chat. Great to see you. Asano, no. Asako is hopefully doing the business tonight. I need something to turn my season around. Hopefully it's Jermaine Asako. Here we are, it's 2023 and I'm cheering on Jermaine Asako. I never would have believed it at the beginning of the season, but this is the lovely game. Supercoach makes us go in all this crazy roller coaster directions. Anyway, that's more or less my team. I've got 13 players. I mean, Zay Katoa and Schuster and Dury are probably the weak links, but happy with the centre wings. Gutherson, hopefully, if the Eels can put on a lot of points, will do well. Tohu Harris and Tarpany, I'm comfortable with. And Damien Cook, I think, hopefully this week bounce back, after not being named in State of Origin. So for me, I'm happy overall with the squad for this week. It did need a boost, but look, that's okay. Got 42k next week, so hopefully that will set me up for some trades for next week onwards as well. I'm seeing Asahel no from Vestas. Nah, we can't have this Asako hate. Come on, man. The guys outperformed all of our expectations this season. Let's give him some love. And Supercoach Experience has donated $2.99. Guys, really appreciate that. Tell me when you're going to do your end of season, or I think it was round 22 drinks. Let me know. I would love to be there and join you guys for sure, and crack a beer with you guys. Thank you so much for that donation. All right. Asako, let's go. Yeah, okay. Look, if Asako goes big tonight, I'll be very annoying on Twitter. Just going to FYI. There will be memes. All right, let's get to your questions now. I've also got up my kind of preview slides from earlier this week, hopefully just to bring up some stats as well. I'm VCing the wrong Jermaine. I'm not liking not having Hopgood this week, but I think it's just going to set me up better over the next, for next week for sure. I'll be better off not having Hopgood. Right, let's get into some questions. We'll go to Connor right at the start, given that he was so early. Oh, he said, I'll see you in an hour. That's all right. Okay, John T says, best downgrade from Latrell, thinking of just risking it with Ponga. Look, with Ponga, I think you all know the obvious risks. I'm not going to stand here and talk about like the HRA risks. I think if you're going for a 1 week play and you can stomach that potential risk, Ponga is one of the best captaincy shouts you can go for, because it's a depleted Manly squad, pretty full strength Newcastle Knights. He's not goal kicking, so that was confirmed by Barry Toohey. He said on Twitter that Hastings will be goal kicking, not Ponga. That does diminish Ponga's appeal a little bit, but I still think Ponga will be able to get no shock at all if he goes 100 plus this week. So I think if you're happy to sell Latrell, I think Ponga is probably for a 1 week play the best option. Obviously, he's not going to be in the squad in next week, so Latrell could easily back up, and Latrell's got the Titans. So do remember that you're going to be having, you're getting the same number of games from Ponga over the next 2 weeks as you are with Latrell, and Latrell obviously has much less risks than Ponga. So just rethink if you do need to make that move. But look, Ponga, I think this week hopefully would be big for anyone who was taking the punt on him. If he was goal kicking, I think it would almost be a slam dunk 1 week play. Given that he doesn't look like he's goal kicking, it's not as good, but look, I think it's still a decent move. In terms of holding Latrell, I think if I quickly jump to the fullback slide that I had prepared earlier this week. So in terms of Latrell, I think he'll play between 3 to 4 games over the span. I've got him down for probably, let's call it 300 predicted points. If you compare that to, say, a Ponga, I've got him down for about 372. So there's maybe 50 points in it for Ponga, but you are using it 2 trades to go out to Ponga, back to Latrell. So it's close enough that makes me think if you're hesitant about it, maybe hold off. But look, we know the ceiling with Ponga for this week for sure. Broads, and sorry guys, I'm going to try to just go through questions as I see them, so just keep firing them in, and hopefully I get to it. Would I still buy Hopgood, or is there no point? No, if you've got the ability to buy Hopgood this week and you can, let me just bring up his stats. If you can afford to bring in Hopgood this week and cover it next week, I think he's a great trade in this week. I think he's probably the best 2RF that you could go for, him or Tohu probably, but Tohu I think you'd rather have in your front row forward. Hopgood at 674k is a bit pricey, but look, he's worth the money in my opinion. The base stats and power averages is insane. Really good draw as well, so we know he can get those attacking stats. He's got that ability to offload, get those try assists as well. I've got him down for about 438 predicted points. And look, we've got better idea as well. Sean Lane and Ryan Madison are going to be out for a few weeks as well. I think Hopgood will be safe for good minutes over this little buy period. I think he's a great trade, and so I think you haven't missed the boat for sure. If I could get him this week without sacrificing my next week team, I would definitely be getting Hopgood. I'm very confident that he'll be a good option for you moving forward as well. Steezer says, Aman, if I can't trade, hold Holmes. Sorry, can't understand the wording of it. Sorry, but I'm guessing it's if you can't trade Holmes, are you okay to hold and trade to Ronaldo next week? Yeah, for sure. Like if you don't love any of the round 13 center wing options, if I quickly go to center wing targets, you can target some of those round 14 options who we didn't really go into too much of a detail about this week, but you've got the likes of Mulatalo, Jacob Carraz. Mulatalo, he's got Broncos in Melbourne the next 2 weeks, so it's not fantastic. So I think for me, I think the round 13 options like a Johnston, a Asako as well, even a Newcastle player, they don't have the best draw, but I think they'll be good for points this week. I think there are good options that you can target for this week that will be good options as well through the whole buy period. But if you're hesitant about any of them, then there's no harm in holding off on Holmes. And look, you could even keep Holmes next week against Melbourne. Not the greatest matchup, but Mulatalo has the Broncos, so it's kind of a similar matchup, right? So you could hold Holmes, and then maybe in round 15, you could sell him at that point. Maybe you get another week of information on a Carraz or something. So no need to rush him out if you're not confident on anyone to trade in. SuperCoach Experience, top quality stuff, man. Spreadsheets for every week. You are killing it. Thank you so much, mate. Yeah, sorry guys, I haven't been able to send out my Origin spreadsheet that I created, but that was in relation to this little graphic I had on screen. I did put a spreadsheet to put this together. I was going to send it out. I still can. I just haven't done so yet. Just personal life and work stuff gets in the way sometimes. Munster a sell to get Cody. So on Munster, look, I think Munster is very likely to be backing up for the Storm. He's got pretty decent rest periods of 3, 2, and 2 after each of the State of Origin games. The biggest risk of him probably not backing up is maybe that round 20. The third game, we saw the third game of Origin last season was probably one of the most brutal games I've seen. And that could be, if the series goes down to a decider, players go all out, and with a slightly less turnaround, there's a risk of him not playing round 20. But assuming Munster plays I've got him down for 4 to 5 games. Let's say it's 4 games. So let's say he plays 14, 15, 17, and 18. That's 4 games, which I've got him down for about 300 predicted points. And if you look at someone like a Cody Walker, I've got him down for 456. So I think Munster is someone that, look, if you want to make ground and you're short, like let's say Cody Walker is your 13th option this week, I think it's a move that will net you more points over this bye period, because the Souths do have a very good draw too. So I think, look, he's not a hard sell Munster, but I think you can gain from it selling to Cody. Over the bye period, who I think will average more, Hop God or Isako? I mean, look, I've been battling this all week, to be honest. Average more, I'd say Hopgood. I think per game he will outscore Isako, but for the reason I mentioned that Isako will play next week, which is really important for my particular team because I've already got quite a lot of players out next week, and he plays an extra game. For me, Isako is who I ended up going with, but in terms of average per game, I think Hopgood will score more. And also, Isako doesn't play round 16, but you'll see that round 16 is actually a fairly easy week to cover. Like, without even planning for it, you've probably already, by virtue of planning for round 13, got good coverage. Like, if I look at my team very quickly for round 16, I've got 3, assuming Christian Welch doesn't play Origin, let's say he's 19th man again, I've got 3, 4, not counting Dury, 5, 6, 7 in dual bags, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've already got 14 with that planning for round 16. And so I'm already looking good. I can trade in a couple of others as well. So I think that made me more confident in buying someone like an Isako as well. And I definitely would recommend doing this, guys. If you are looking at your trades this week, have a look in the SuperCoach app. If you don't have SuperCoach Plus, just take a note from my, I've got my draw thing up. You can take a screenshot of that. Just see who are the teams who are playing in round 16. How many of those do you have? And if you're already looking pretty, then you can maybe afford to jump on players like, for example, Tohu Harris, Dolphin players like Marshall King. Even though they missed round 16, you might already be well set up. So we'll mention that too. Rumour Greg captain? No, not for me personally. Joe O has been moved into the team now for Parramatta. I think Greg's minutes were inflated last week. He'll probably play good minutes, but doesn't have a ceiling for me, so not an option. Will Campbell Graham play this week? So apparently I read something that he's not trained yet this week for the Rabbitohs. Apparently he had to drain some fluid from his sternum. Given that they're playing Saturday, you still got a couple of days. I have a feeling that he will probably still play this week. Welch, it just depends if he's again named 19th man. So that's totally unpredictable. So I can't really comment on that one. Hi, Marn, great show. Thank you so much, Supergun. Ian, okay, let's see what Ian's saying. Katoa to Cody Walker. I'm assuming that's Isaiah Katoa. Joey Manu to Tavare. Tavare is named on the bench, so I don't love that. And then final trade, Preston to Tohu to make 17 players, 14 next week, or Kepi out to play next week. We would only have 392k. Some of those moves I don't love. So Manu to Tavare, I know people have been looking to sell Manu, but I will quickly just show you the Rooster. Well, actually, we've got it here. Roosters draw. I know the Roosters have been underperforming, but all reports suggest that Manu will be back next week. Bulldogs at home, that's definitely a game he can do well in. Round 15, yes, that's tough, it's Penrith. But round 16 is an Origin week, Teddy won't be there. Manu is likely to play either 5'8 or fullback. And I think that just makes him such an elite option in that particular bye week. Like, he will be one of the most highly captained or vice-captain players that week. He's going to be a player I think a lot of people will try to get to if they don't own him at that week. So I would be conscious of, if you already own Manu and you've already held him through last week, maybe just consider holding on to him. Given that you already have 17 as well this week, I don't think you need to go overboard. And Tavare is named on the bench this week. Like, I don't see any value really in that trade, in my opinion. Preston to Tohu, I can understand, but Bulldogs will cover round 16 and 19, so he'll be a handy bye period player as well. So I don't think you need to force that move, but I can see the value in getting Tohu, just based on my expected points that I had for second row forwards. I'll quickly bring that back up 1 second. Here we go. So I've got Tohu Harris down for about 450 points, and I have Preston down for about 360. So there is definitely gain on that, but look, I think Preston is definitely not a must sell by any means. Emmanuel Kolomatangi, he's going to be what Sean Lane was for me last year. I can feel it. Yeah, look, Kolomatangi on the extended bench, we kind of just have to wait for final team lists, but even if he was named to start this week or even on the bench, I'd maybe just give it a week if you've already well set for your 13 this week, but definitely will be a target. I think with the really good draw that Rabbitohs have, he could be one of those second or forwards that you could look to target for sure. Wilton or Preston to Hopgood. So I'm going to be jumping around on the screen. Sorry guys, but I just want to be flexible with the questions. So Sharks will play round 16 and round 19, same as the Bulldogs. Although Sharks do have a bye in round 17, which is again similar to round 14, a tricky week. It's just post a State of Origin game. Whereas Bulldogs will play Bulldogs also have the bye. Right, okay. Preston or Wilton. So it's really a question of like who would you rather own during that period of time. Preston's probably good for like a 60 average. Wilton about the same. I would probably, to be honest, just trade the one who's more expensive. Preston, let me see, quickly check his price. He is 585k, and a Wilton, to be honest, without even looking at Wilton's price, I would rather sell Wilton just as a gut feel, but let's have a look. Wilton is 653k. I think you have and he's got 115 break even. He's been good. He's made some money. I would maybe just cash in on him. You know, you're only spending 20k to get to Hopgood. Yeah, I think Wilton for me. Who was a question from? My car. Yeah, that's how I would go. Jason, hope you're having a great night, Aman. I am indeed. Really fun to be streaming, and it's always good fun to stream. I love it. Ended up doing Cleary instead of Hines, Jared Croker, Gilbert, Cody Walker, Hopgood, and Tohu Harris, and you have $400 left. Thoughts? So SuperCoach Guns, who I was on that Twitter Spaces with, he is also selling Cleary, but he's got a bit of a unique trade situation where he's going to sell Cleary this week and bring him back straight away next week. Now, I do prefer selling Hines to Cleary. Again, I'll quickly go to the halfback slide here. You know, Hines is guaranteed to play max 4 games. Cleary can play up to 5. And I just think his games are a bit softer, like Dragons next week. Roosters, he just scored 100 plus. Newcastle in round 17. You know, it's really only that one game from Hines, which is the Dragons in round 18, which I'd be really terrified of. But this is the thing, like Hines, look, people who hold Hines, they can probably hold to round 16. But once you get to round 16, he'll miss round 16, 19 and 20. He'd be missing 1 of 4 weeks. What are you going to do in that situation is what I would ask the question. Because that's 800 and something K. You'd be relying on him to score like 150, even if he scored like 200 that week. Over that period of time, he'd be averaging 50 a game. I think there'll be halfbacks or 5/8s that you can get that can cover that. Cleary at least, will cover 14, well, maybe not 14, but 100% 15. Probably he'll likely play 1 of 14, 17. So we'll give him 1 game there, 15, 18, and we'll give him 20 as well. Like 4 games there, but he's got that ability to play at 5. People making this argument as well that Cleary's gunning for a Dally M as well. So look, I get the trades, and I get probably with your situation with money, you need to trade out the more expensive player, but I do personally prefer holding to Cleary rather than Nico. Halman, I have 400k in the bank. Would you trade Grant or Luke, possibly to Jerry Marshall King or Nikorima? Look, I think Sonny Luke you can easily cut, and as you kind of framing the question, you want to be conscious of where else you could use that money. But Sonny Luke really in this Origin period, I like the idea of holding on to Harry Grant because a lot of people are selling, myself included. Not in love with it, but it's kind of just what I need to do to make my team a little bit stronger for the next few weeks. But I think if you can afford to hold on to him, I think there's a good chance that he will back up. Sonny Luke really is not an option, I think, at this point. So I would be using that cash and probably upgrading Luke. And in terms of one of the two, I would just go to Jeremy Marshall King. I think Grant, Marshall King, you probably don't have to make any other trades at your hooker spot. I think you've got that position covered. So I like going Marshall King. I think he would be my number 1 choice, but I can't get to him myself just with funds. Scott says, hey, man, would you take a punt on Tass or Milne or other like the price? They don't scream to me as options I would be loving to trade in. I know Tiny Milne had a big week a couple of weeks ago, but then he backed it up with the 30 points. Look, 520k, you're not spending that much more to go to Alex Johnson, who I just think is a much more safe, reliable option. Tass as well, like, he's averaging 51, which is fair enough, but center wing at that 505k price tag, like, for example, I'd probably rather go Karaz, who I think we saw before is a bit of a keeper if he gets back to full health. So I wouldn't be looking to force one of Milne or Tass in. I think go AJ or Campbell Graham. I think even though they're a bit more expensive, they're definitely better options in my opinion. So no, I don't love those two. And if you can afford to hold off, maybe you can hold off because you can maybe go someone like even a Sione Katoa is a bit of a pod next week as well. I think he's around similar price. He's 525k. So no, I don't love those two in particular. Penasini is a smoky this week. Yeah, look, Penasini as well, to Scott's question. I think Penasini is a little bit more expensive, but he's 565k, so he's not that much more expensive than like a Tane Milne, for example. I do prefer him as an option. He's just got much better base stats. He's basing 35 this season, and look, he hasn't cracked a ton yet this year, but he's very solid for you. He'll probably get you mid-60s most weeks. And look, this week could be a good week. We know the Cowboys are shot for confidence, and they've lost a lot of Origin players this week too. Moss says rather just buy Katoni Staggs. Look, I know I didn't even speak about Katoni Staggs once this week. Look, he's sub 400k, but the way I look at it is that's for a reason. I know he's been a gun in the past, and you all know my relation. Well, if you don't, I would highly recommend going back to last season and going back to streams or videos around round 5. Go to round 5. When I held Katoni for the first 4 weeks, did nothing, sold him, and then he went back-to-back hundreds. If you want some entertainment, go watch those round 5 and 6 of 2022. But this season, like, he's been good for an actual NRL, but a high score of 92, which included a double. Base stats of 29 is fine, but just not looking like the guy that I would want to be bringing in, even though he's a cheap price. It's an awkward price. Like, if you decide to move off him again, you're going to need some money to upgrade. So don't love it, in my opinion. AJ or Penasini from Fisher Talks Fantasy, welcome. I think Alex Johnson still. I think he's just got that more of a ceiling. And if I quickly just go to the strength of schedule, so this graph here is ordered from best to worst in terms of teams draw, and it's based on SuperCoach points conceded, so it's very relevant for what we're talking about here. I think Rabbitohs just have the best draw from round 13 to 20. Parramatta are close, but I like AJ for the fact that he also covers next week, and it is the Titans. Pretty good matchup. And as I said before, round 16 is a fairly easy week to cover, in my opinion, for buy coverage. So yeah, I like AJ. I like AJ. Hopefully, if Cody demands more ball as well without Latrell, that means better things for Alex Johnson too. What about my man Simonson? Yeah, Bailey Simonson, or Simonson, however you pronounce it. He's also very similar to Penasini. He's been very solid. He's got a pretty good 3-round average. I think his average is like 70 for the last 3 rounds. Yeah, 3-round average of 70. He has had to score 3 tries as well. So, look, I'm looking at games without a try. 24, 29, 33. He did score a 77 in round 10 against the Titans. But he had, I think, a couple of try assists that game. So, again, 500k. It's a bit awkward. I think when you're talking at this price, like seeing, like, I know I'm going to keep going back to him, but like an Alex Johnson is not that much more expensive, and he just looks like a kind of guy that is a proven gun for a proven attacking team. I kind of just feel a bit more confident with him, in my opinion. Mashed potatoes, I love this comment. Aman's content averaging 100 a week. Well done, mate. Mate, really appreciate that. That is a great great piece of feedback. Thank you very much. Thoughts on Nikorima or Ponga? Look, I think given that Ponga, I think someone else asked this earlier in the comments, given that Ponga is like 15, 20k more than Nikorima, I know he doesn't cover next week, but look, I think Ponga has a genuine chance of getting 100 plus this week, even without goal kicking. I would probably take the bet on Ponga. And it could be one of those, it gives me similar vibes to Nico Hines when he first came back from that calf injury and he went 180, he went berserk. This round with Ponga kind of gives me the same vibe. So I'm not going there myself because I'm pretty set on just having Cody, and also going Ponga just hurts me for next week too. But I'm getting good vibes out of Ponga this week for a SuperCoach. So I like going with Ponga this week. Benny G, hope you're well, legend. I'm doing very well. Great to be streaming here on this Thursday night. And genuinely excited to have VC Osako, which is something I never thought I'd say at the beginning of the season or at any point during my YouTube career. All right, let's do some more questions. How are we going for time, actually? We've got 25 minutes till lockout. Okay, cool. So we've still got a bit of time to play with. All right. Jonty says, trade both Hosking and Preston out for Hopgood and Tohu. Okay, let's quickly refer back to my 2RF expected points table. So I've got Hosking 384, Preston 360, Hopgood 438, and I know Tohu is about 450. So look, those two likely will outscore them, but you are losing 2 round 16 guys for 1 round 6. I mean, if we think about those major bye weeks, you'll get 2 this week, and you're taking out 2 for. I'm just trying to do some quick math here. I think you are gaining. You're gaining on getting those 2 players. they're just, I mean, do you have any other way of getting to Hopgood Tohu? I know it sounds like a dumb question, but like I really like Hopgood and Tohu. NRL Physio, for anyone who's concerned about Tohu, he didn't really have too many concerns about Tohu and injury risk because the nature of his injuries so far this season have been more contact based. It's not like a muscle injury. He's always much more concerned about muscle injuries. So I don't really have too much more concerns in terms of Tohu's injury or health. He's got an extra week to recover as well from any niggles he may have had. So I do like Tohu. He will play big minutes. He just continues to play big minutes for them despite just getting on like every year another year older. It doesn't matter with Tohu. Someone else has asked the question, is Tohu a must-have? Not a must-have, but he's a very, very good option. Plays 7 of the next 8 weeks. He probably will be in my opinion, the highest scoring front row forward over the next 8 weeks, him or Taps. So I think if you can get him this week with a break even of 17, he is a great trade-in. Look, the guy, sorry, I've lost you, but if you did want to trade out Hosking and Preston for those two, I can't fault it, because I do think you're getting 2 upgrades, but I do think you are losing 2 people who will be very popular in round 16 and 19, and I like Hosking's draw as well. I think there's a chance of getting some attacking stats. Tyler, you're asking, sorry, if you already have Tarpey and Big Red. Look, yeah, you don't have to get Tohu if you feel like your front row forward is already okay. Like, he'll be very good, but will he kill you? He'll get maybe like 70, 75 most weeks, which is, look, a very good score, but he's not going to be like 120 plus. Well, touch wood, he doesn't get 120 plus and stuff. Well, I own him. I want him to get 120 plus, sorry. But you know what I mean. It doesn't have that massive ceiling that might kill you in any given week. Blake says, what was Blake? This is from Blake Trevo. Sorry, I've missed your question. Sorry, no, I've lost your question. Apologies. Alex, similar question. Is Tohu a must when I already have Harson, Fanua, Blake? You would need to trade one of Hosking, Preston, or Ford to bring him in. Yeah, look, when you've got a pretty well set up front row forward and sounds like you've committed to holding Haas, you don't have to trade in Tohu. Definitely not a must. And Hosking and Preston, I think, will be good over this little period too. Last boost for a 14th player. No, I would save it. If you've already got 13, I don't feel like you need to go boosting to get 14. Because remember, you're going to be boosting for like, look, you'll get one less player. You'll get one player who's your worst player who will sit outside of your best 13. So you might gain 40, 50 points. Is that worth a boost? Especially like me, I've got 1 boost left, but look, I need to get Hines back in eventually, round 20 probably, right? Whenever he's kind of finished with this whole bye period. I will need that boost to try to get back in some Origin guns, and it will be very valuable. So for me, I think boost, I know last season boosts weren't as probably helpful, but this season when we've got buys every week, I really think these boosts can come a little bit more clutch. So for me, like I'm looking round 20 to boot. I'm trying to hold my boost for round 20 and try to get back in Hines, I think, that way with a boost. So no, I wouldn't boost for 14. Caleb's asking boost for 13. If it's your last boost, again, I would probably lean toward not boosting and just take the 12. Like I'm boosting for 13, but I've got another boost spare, so I feel a bit more okay about it. You'll fall behind the pack if you don't have 13 players. It really depends on the 13, right? Like, look, I've got 13, but I'm not expecting much out of Isaiah Katoa, Josh Schuster, or Matt Dury. Combined, they might get me 100 points, which is fine. But let's say I'm averaging like 30 points a player. If you have 12, but you've got, like, let's say you had all of my 13 players minus, I don't know, Schuster. Are you really going to fall behind the pack that much? I don't think so. Now, it's a different story if you're like 10, 11 and you're missing like a Cody Walker, like a Tohu Harris and like maybe a Damien Cook. They may each go like 70 each. They might each go 70 points and you're losing 210 points. Then fine, you might fall behind the pack. It's quality over quantity. That's always what we say, I guess, in these big bye weeks. Boost for 12 from J-Ski. You've got 2 boosts left. Look, I feel that if you've got 2 boosts left, if that's 2 boosts left after your current boost, then yeah, that for me that's totally viable. Bradsky, round 20 onwards, how many trades for the run home should we aim to keep? Look, kind of like by round 20, round 21, I would be hopefully having a pretty set team of about 17, maybe 20 gun players if I could. So kind of maybe like a lot of these guys like Tarpany, Harris, not planning on selling, and even Dillbags and Cody Walker if I can stay. So hopefully the guys I just need to really bring back are like and Nico Hines, Harry Grant, and maybe try to get in someone like another gun like a Turbo or Latrell. And so I think come round 21, if say you've got maybe, there'll be 5 weeks left, maybe a trade a week just to help you navigate buys. So if you've got like 5 trades left after round 21, I think you might just about be okay. 5 or 6, I guess. Marzu, a keeper. I'm undecided on Marzu. Look, he'll have the bye next week and I can reassess, especially if he has a poor week this week. But, look, I know he's averaging 73, but even if you take out those first 2 weeks when he went back-to-back hundreds, like the scores that he's getting are still pretty good. Like he's got a pretty good floor. Like his base average is 32. I'm sure his base power average is much higher, given that he likes to tackle bust. Like if I look at the numbers real quick, like 92, 42, 67, 39. So I'm doing live averaging right now. 71 and 49. So that's 360 points in 6 games. Look, it's an average of 60. It's fine. It's fine. He's not quite getting those 100 pluses, but so he's probably not maybe a slam dunk keeper, but he could be handy depth. Welch out for Offengawi to get ahead of the curve, only if you need to get him for 13 players. But to be honest, I know I wasn't too down on Offengawi, but I've thought about it a bit more and I thought, maybe like he's not been playing big minutes. And I heard something that Wilfred said on the Champions podcast about apparently he was sent back in the Tigers to get more conditioning. So even though last season he was playing big minutes, it doesn't seem as though he's quite in the shape yet to do so. So he may not play more than 45, 50 minutes. So I think, for me, probably not a must. And Welch could be a handy depth option too. And I think ideally you don't want to burn too many trades in your front row forward. It's such a meh position. Brod says, what should I do if I have Turbo and Gutho as fullbacks when they're both out next week? I think you can go trade one of them to like a centre wing fullback eligible player. So maybe like an Asako, maybe a who else is there? Even, I don't know, Taruva maybe. Or you can go to someone instead. Like if Latrell backs up, maybe you could just move to Latrell. I'm not sure. I think it's one where you can give it a week to reassess and think about it then. Offer is at Parramatta. I know he's at Parramatta now. I'm sorry, maybe I had a slip of the tongue, but no, I know he's at Parramatta. But look, just minutes uncertainty. It's not crash hot. Walsh to Ponga short term. I mean, I think depending on how Walsh backs up from Origin, which is obviously obvious question, I think where possible he will back up for the Broncos, given that they do need to still keep winning games, given how tight the competition is. In terms of the Broncos draw, let's have a quick look at it. It's the Sharks in round 14, there's Newcastle round 15. So I think, look, you're not actually getting any more games out of going Ponga than you are Walsh, but if you've got trades to flip Ponga and you can maybe go back to Walsh, I don't mind it, because I think Ponga will have a good week this week. Okay. Oh, James Austin with a super chat. Thank you so much. $7.99. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. You probably paid for my chicken burger for tomorrow night, I think. My man, pick 2 for me out of Cook, Isako, and Ponga. Struggling for numbers in 16. Got Trell and Turbo as your fullbacks. If you're struggling for numbers in 16, then that's tough because Ponga could easily be out in 16 as well because of Origin. I like Asako. I think Asako would be in one of those two. I just think plays 7 out of the next 8 weeks, so I think he's a good long-term just safe option. Ponga and Cook both have the risk of going back to Origin. For that reason, you've got Trell and Turbo as your fullbacks. Ooh, I do feel like one of them would be a sell. As hard as it is to say, Turbo out next week as well, and Ponga out next week too. Cook does play next week. Ponga's a better trader for this week for points, but just as a long-term option, I would just go Cook. And then next week with Trell and Turbo, you can still flip. Turbo's not going down in value this week. You could sell next week. Like, let's say, for example, Trell doesn't back up. In that case, he's playing 15. Geez, it's against the Dragons, but he'll miss 16. Maybe you can look to sell Trell or Turbo next week. Maybe you just go Cook, and maybe you give yourself the option to sell one of those two next week, and you get another week of information. That's a tough question, though. But Asako, I think, would be one of those two for sure. There's some wild trades going on, mate. It's buy season, crazy praying mantis. There's lots of dilemmas in people's heads. Is Schuster a buy? I think Schuster is still a fine buy. He's got a negative BE now as well. What is his break even? It's minus 26. We saw the upside that he's got. He'll continue to make some money. Doesn't play round 16, which is not... Oh no, he does play round 16. So he will cover round 13 and round 16 for you. So look, I think Schuster is a decent downgrade option this week. Ange says Holmes, Teddy and Munster out and Hopgood, Osaka and Walker in. Good. Or should I get Cook instead? Forced to play hands this week, but I have Grant next week. No, I think Hopgood, Osaka and Walker in for those three are fine. I think Holmes for me is definitely a sell. I think Teddy you can afford to sell. He probably will back up, but he had one good game last week, but I think Manu will be back next week, so that could just mean Teddy goes back to the not so great scores. So I'm fine selling Teddy, and we discussed Munster out earlier as well. I think there's still some merit in that. And I think holding Grant is fine. You could just roll out hands, I guess, for this week, Ange. Marshall King or Cook, currently have 200k with Marshall King. You have a lot of money in the bank still, James, so I'd be comfortable going Marshall King. I think he's just a better option in my opinion than Cook. Should your team be set by around round 20 to 22 from paycheck? Yeah, I'd say about round 21, 22. Like round 20, you will still have players who might not back up, so it might not be completely easy to get back to your full set squad, but say round 21, 22, yeah, I think so. Sell Walsh or Wilton this week? From Unlucky. That's unlucky for me. That's a tough question. Walsh or Wilton? I think I'd cash in on Wilton because I think Walsh will back up next week and got more of an upside too. So, like Sharks are coming out to Broncos and Melbourne, not fantastic. So yeah, I'd probably cash in on Wilton. He does have a higher break even as well. Walker or Moses? Now, Kane, I discussed this earlier in the week. I think if you already own Dillbags, I will just go Walker because I think it will hurt next week if you have both Moses and Dillbags out. If you're not going Dillbags, I'd probably go Moses because I think he's got a better matchup this week. And because I think, look, we're probably expecting the Rabbitohs to win, but Raiders don't lose that many players for Origins. Really only Hudson Young and Elliot Whitehead who are out of their team this week. Rabbitohs lose Latrell, Cam Murray and Jai Arrow. That's a few big outs for them. So I think Moses with a pretty almost near full strength squad versus a weakened Cowboys team, I think Moses has got a very genuine chance for going huge this week. So Moses for sure this week a better option. Longer term, I'd say Walker, and it also depends if you have Dillbags or not, in my opinion. Is Cody Walker a must? I mean, no one is ever really a must, but I would be afraid to not have Cody Walker. Look, even if he doesn't score well this week, just the draw to me is really, really appealing. Like we're looking at Raiders, Titans, Dragons, Cowboys, Warriors, Bulldogs until round 20. Like that's for me is a fantastic run of games. And I think he will be the main man when Latrell is out. And like, I think like his season average is 76. His season average is 75.7. But remember, his first three scores this season were 30, 44, and 42. So having a 76 average with those three games is pretty impressive. Like since then, since round 4, he hasn't gone lower than 66 points. And this is a Cody Walker who doesn't have great base stats. He needs the attacking stats, but they're continuing to come. He is very expensive, which is annoying, but I think this is one of those weeks where you just kind of pay up. And look, you might not even get rewarded this week, but I think over the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I think you'll get rewarded for it, is at least my opinion. Moses or Hopgood for VC? One of the two, probably Moses. He's just got the highest ceiling in my opinion. Like he can go generally 140, 50. We've seen that from him. Hopgood, ceiling wise, probably 120. So I think I would go, like for a captaincy shout, I would probably go Hopgood because I think he's just safer. For a 70, Moses can throw in the stinker score. For a VC though, I would chase a ceiling and go Moses. All right, we've got about 10 minutes till lockout, so I think we'll go for another 5 minutes because I do want to prep everything so I can sit down and watch the game. So we'll go for another 5 minutes and we'll probably wrap it up there. But hopefully you guys have gotten most of your questions answered, and if you did like the stream, do give it a like. Cheeky C on Alex Johnson, I can't do it because we know he can go low. I can't personally do it. I'm very happy to have Captain Dillbag this week. You all love me. I'm a very happy man when I see that orange glow around my boy. Thoughts on VC Moses and Cody and C Walker? Yes, I like that combination paycheck if you can do that. Yeah, I really like that. Would I buy Lukey or Cartwright? Money doesn't matter. Are they around the same price? Let's have a quick look. I mean, Lukey, with the Cowboys not playing so well, he's got to buy around 15. It's Melbourne next week. Not great matchup. Panthers around 16. Kind of off him, to be honest, especially with Luciano back. Parramatta do have a good draw. I think Cartwright is actually good for minutes and job security with all these injuries to Madison and Sean Lane. Cartwright's cheaper too. I'd go Cartwright. Israel. Now, this is a tough question. Hopgood or Tohu this week? Thinking Tohu because he'll buy next week, and if Tohu, Nikura, or Hopgood round 15. Yeah, I think you basically answered your own question. I think the fact that he's got the bye next week, I think Hopgood will outscore Tohu this week. Even if Hopgood goes 120 and Tohu goes 70, look, the fact that Hopgood is out next week, Tohu could just go 60 next week, and he outscores Hopgood over the next 2 weeks. So for me, probably Tohu, but Hopgood a better option this week. And that should answer your question as well. I think someone else had just asked it as well. Fins up. Tonight, I'm a Fins fan. Well, no, sorry. Let me scratch that. Tonight, I'm a Jermaine Asako fan. All right, let's see if there's any more questions coming in. Who are my top 3 trade-in targets for the next couple of rounds? Sean, look, I'll have to get back to you on that one. I haven't really thought about the next couple of rounds too heavily. But if we wanted to have a quick look, let me just quickly bring up my strength of schedule screen. 1 second. So if we're looking at targets over the next couple of weeks, Panthers look really good. This is something I'm actually thinking about next week. If Gutherson puts in another stinker performance, I'm very tempted to go to Dylan Edwards because I'm looking at Dragons, Roosters, Cowboys, Knights, Melbourne before his bye in round 19, and then the Dolphins round 20. It's a good run of games. Dylan Edwards is averaging like 77 or 80 points. He's very expensive, but I think Panthers players will be good trade-in targets from next week, like the likes of even a Taruva. You can go punty with a Stephen Crichton maybe. They've got a pretty good draw. Tigers are actually not ranking too bad. So even the likes of a Buller is maybe you've missed the boat in terms of his price, but West Tigers players could in general be potential trade-in options. Roosters, despite the poor form, Bulldogs in round 14 is good, and the Knights in round 16, they could be an option. So someone like a Joey Manu could be a really good trade-in option too. And then probably Sharks players, I think. So the likes of Mulatalo, Katoa, Ramian, Talakai, etc. That's kind of my early thoughts anyway, just based on the draw. How are we going for time? All right, we will do 3 more questions, and then I think we'll wrap it up. But thank you all for joining. 125 viewers. That's amazing to see. Really happy to see that. Worth upgrading Preston to Hopgood round 15. That's maybe a trade that you can do, but in round 15, I think you'll look at it and think, well, Preston's playing round 16, so I feel like you'll be probably not too keen on doing that trade in that week in particular. You should watch the game live so we can get reactions. Look, if you don't follow me on Twitter, there should be a link in the description below the stream. Do follow me there. Even if you're not on Twitter, just follow me if anything else, because I normally do post my reactions by tweeting during the games. And if Asako is going for a hat-trick, trust me, I will be reacting. That is for sure. Eli Katoa update. I don't know if that's a joke, Hamish, because NRL Physio posted something on Twitter as well about how he's been bombarded with messages about Eli Katoa, and he hasn't gotten any. Melbourne haven't given any update, and so I just kind of sarcastically commented on his post asking any Katoa updates, champ, just to have a bit of a fun time with him, and yeah, it was very funny. But no, honestly, we have no updates on Katoa. No idea. All right, let's do one more question. Let's do this from Hamish. Thoughts on Faianu, 200k front row forward, because I honestly haven't spoken about him at all until this question. Look, I think if you're looking for a downgrade in that position, he probably is the best option. He's bottom dollar, about to play his 3rd game, probably decent for minutes as well because of the injuries to Burbo, Kelma Tuolangi. He's been named on the edge if I'm not mistaken, so I think he's probably safe to have that role for at least 4 to 5 weeks. So I think you will do fine with Faianu. He's not dual. I think he's only front row forward, but he may get that in round 18 if he keeps playing more games on the edge. So I think if you're looking for a downgrade in that spot, look, nothing wrong with him, I think, for sure. Hamish, yeah, you were joking. Great stuff. All right, let's wrap up the stream there, guys. Guys and girls, if there's any girls watching, I don't want to just discriminate against the girls out there who are watching. Although my YouTube statistics do tell me that 99% of my viewers are male. So apologies for the slip of the tongue, but that's just based on seeing my analytics. But hope you all have a great weekend. Obviously less games, so spend more time with your friends, your family. Give them a little bit more attention this week, so you build some. This is all good advice. Build some equity up with them, so that come Wednesday you can just watch State of Origin risk free, and you also have next weekend a full round of games as well. So spend a bit more time with them this week. Have a good weekend. But more importantly, have a great SuperCoach weekend, and have hopefully some green arrows. We'll catch you all on Sunday for the wrap up, and see you then. Bye.